Everyone is caught up in doing something which consciously or unconsciously leads people towards a certain path. But fewer ask whether that path is really what's best for us. Many are so sure that whatever they have in mind is the way to go and shut down other things. But what if that very path that is dictating your actions today is not the one that will bring about the best potentialities? And no amount of speed can then compensate for heading in a non-optimal direction. Thus, we'd need to slow down, reflect, rethink, and gain greater insights to act upon, and do that continuously. The greater the captured field of meaningful insights is, the greater are the chances for the better possibilities and potentialities. So let's take the time to go over some of the deeper insights about the world and humans that will at the same time explain the why behind this project, the need of it, and unpack the mission statement that we went over. If we observe the world, we can see that the emergent patterns and results of our collective thinking and actions does not bring optimal results and breeds many problems. This disbalance of what we collectively do and the world's needs raises some questions and shows the tremendous need for the change of our ways of looking at life, existence, coexistence, and the world. We, as humans, act upon our sphere of insights, knowledge, our understanding, beliefs, skills. We act upon our level of development in consciousness, psychology, and our philosophical outlook on life, the world, morals, values, the meaning we see, and the purpose we have or lack thereof. To summarize this sphere of insights and all else it constitutes, the field of systems theory has a term called mental models, which fits into another theory called iceberg model that explains how pretty much any results we can observe in the world arise and bubble up. The results, the problems and solutions we can observe in the world is what's at the top of the iceberg model, which can be summarized into one word as events. One level deeper in the iceberg model, we have the patterns that create those events. Then the level deeper comes the structures such as sociocultural structures that in turn largely affect the deepest foundational level, which is mental models. It is the last instance that is determining, guiding, and dictating people's cognition and behavior. Collective mental models and normalizing power, as philosopher Michel Foucault reasoned, is what dictates so much of what happens in the world. In such a case, if we can observe that what we collectively do does not align with what we would need to do for our own prosperity, we can arrive at the insight that people lack the mental models and structures to act otherwise and to coexist in an optimal manner. Thus, the projects that increase people's wisdom, that help with unleashing human potential, the projects that provide solutions of improved sociocultural structures for optimal coexistence, the ones that provide ideas for the advancement of the world, would in turn contribute to solving many of our problems and spark many solutions. The mental models and thus the actions of the majority are largely influenced by sociocultural structures, as we mentioned before. So through analysis of current sociocultural structures, like the economic and decision-making frameworks, how it affects us, and the insights of better means of coexistence and coordination by different social structures, we can bring about the changes in how our society functions, which in turn influences the mode of operation of entities and the mental models of the majority who act and interact in a particular way, which brings the results we see in the world. Changes in our sociocultural structures towards a thriving environment will in turn bring about solutions and advancements of the world that will raise the prosperity for all. At the same time, We have already created so many problems by existing sociocultural structures and mental models that it is now necessary to solve those problems in particular, while we are in the state of transition. By analyzing and researching, ZLab Insights shall provide solutions to the problems and advancement of the world. But even more important is to know that we are fighting with a bunch of symptoms in form of various problems and have done so historically. It seems like many cannot pinpoint the source of the pain and thus turn to easy explanations and solutions that do not solve much and often make things worse. Having a deeper understanding helps us to not react to the events and patterns and problems that occurred and perpetuate because of the underlying structures and collective mental models, but to instead change the underlying root causes which will solve many of the problems. Thus, it is of great need to spread and express these insights in an accessible and captivating manner to make an impact at scale. This way, it will reach out to the many and contribute to the mindset shift and societal change at scale by getting it out all over the world and in targeted countries where change will be impactful, combined with other strategic targeted work operations and campaigns. If philosophers, psychologists, scientists created stories that will captivate people as series and movies do, making it more interesting and accessible for the critical mass and critical societal actors, then we would live in a better world. Our work can also be accompanied by studies of how effective and impactful it actually is. We will strive to constantly measure, get feedback, and iterate accordingly. Our works will strive to be interactive, test experimentation, and data-driven with the help of behavior science, neuroscience, psychologists, and the latest technologies such as data science and AI. There is a need for self-development of the critical mass of entities and critical societal actors that would in turn translate to positive change in the society as a whole, because society needs and depends on people's wisdom. Democracy is only as good as the levels of development, insights, and understanding of the critical mass. Democracy entails that we as citizens are enlightened, that we are skilled in our thinking and reasoning, that we possess greater knowledge and insights in order to create, maintain, and manage our society and the world in an optimal way. Our economy, our society, and the world depends on people's wisdom and development to function optimally. The greater amount of people with greater insights, the greater are the chances of a more optimal existence, both for the individual and the world, that will in turn create a more prosperous society for all. For example, people need the wisdom in order to assure the optimal functioning of our current economic system that by default pushes people and human potential toward the work, investments, studies, and cognition and behavior that is not really in line with the world's priorities, but instead with where the financial reward is. Looking at our workforce distribution, we will see that it is disproportionate to our priorities. In our current societal systems, the real scientific representation of the world's needs and individual needs for a fulfilling existence, for that matter, are not taken into account. That explains the misalignment of what the majority of entities are doing and the massive global issues that we have. Without the meaningful perspectives, the right and helpful mindsets of people, other matters are less effective. Try to change the system and you will hit the wall of people who think otherwise or have other interests. It is by addressing underlying outlook on life and the world which dictate human action as we can bring about positive change in our society. People who are currently engaged in improving the world cannot do it all by themselves. Try to create and work on one solution and still you'd be solving only one problem to some extent in one specific way. We need the critical mass of people who are willing to do the same for a meaningful change to occur. For the emergence of a better society, more people will need to be on higher levels of psychological development according to spiral dynamics, which is the theory of mental, psychosocial development and evolution of consciousness, both for individuals and societies as the whole. People should be helped in such self-development endeavors because our societal challenges require investments in personal development, as an article from Swedish scientists and entrepreneurs stated. People without greater insights about the world, life, about human psychology, about how to take care of ourselves so that we can live a meaningful, fulfilled and healthy lives, get into a position of having problems in their personal lives too. Mental health is an increasing problem. People seem to be in great need for insights into how to handle and deal with life and various aspects of it for optimal existence and coexistence. And when they don't get this help, the problems arise. Many of the current solutions focus on dealing with psychological issues after the fact, but not on the things that caused it in the first place for many. Zlab.Insights strives to make an impact at scale, reaching out to as many as possible, thus preventing the complications and helping people to flourish. If we think about it, the resources, opportunities, and many solutions are already there, but the minds and sociocultural structures are not. No matter all existing resources, knowledge, human potential, technological progress and advances, solutions and opportunities to create a better world, it is still people's minds, the consciousness and our ways of coexistence and coordination that prevents us from it. For example, there is so much untapped human potential, which is one of the most important things that we have, which in turn will solve the biggest problems in the world if guided wisely. There are millions or billions of people and their potential that can unfold by enlightening people towards fulfilling lives and guiding our society towards better economy, which will in turn transform the lives of people into more meaningful ones, thus making a massive positive impact in the world. We have a lot of great knowledge and insights from many great thinkers. There is so much wisdom that waits for people to be discovered, but somehow it hasn't yet gotten across to people, partly because it takes effort, time, continuous education and contemplation to gain greater understanding of the condition of the world and us as humans, and to break free of what holds us back in non-optimal patterns. The knowledge is there, but it is scattered and takes a lot of time to piece it all together into meaningful and deeper insights that will give a greater understanding about life, the world, and deeper meaning of it all. Zlab.Insights strives to organize all the scattered knowledge in a way that creates a clear thread and leads people to meaningful insights. It is about making insights cohesive and understandable upon which people can act. Many in the current system don't get time for such fundamental knowledge-seeking and philosophical endeavors. Our sociocultural structures get people into a mode of operation which prevents deeper reflection and insight, which in turn paves the way for personal and societal problems. Reflection and reason is what makes us human, and when these are inhibited, our world becomes less human. By using what makes us human, one becomes more human. Thus, it is of great need to help people with such endeavors. Today, people are kept busy running socially constructed treadmills that oftentimes lead people to a non-optimal existence. Such a mode of operation forgets to ask whether it is really the point and meaning of our lives and existence. If we don't think about such questions and don't change the direction, we might end up where we are heading. Zlab.Insights include the ones based on deeper philosophical insights, psychology, sociology, science, system thinking, meta skills in order to help people to seek and arrive at insights on their own and other relevant fields that can help in the development of humanity. Some examples of insights include the philosophical reasonings about life, the world, and the meaning of it all, existential psychology, self-actualization, Japanese philosophy of how to find reason for being called ikigai, spiral dynamics, and many other insights. On the societal systems level, it includes new economic and decision-making frameworks, economic democracy, cooperatives, democratic confederalism, socio-environmental value-based and impact-driven economy based on blockchain system that would incentivize entities according to the distribution of the world's needs and priorities that would in turn bring most optimal results for all. That plus other solutions to problems and ideas for advancements. That and so much more, anything and everything that would have a positive impact on people's existence and coexistence. To conclude, one can say that this is one of such solutions that in turn sparks and leads to many other solutions when people with greater insights and meaning in their lives contribute to society and make the lives of others better, who in turn will provide their solutions, and so on, launching a chain reaction of getting a critical mass for the emergence of meaningful change. ZLab Insights is a holistic approach with combination of ideas for better means of existence, coexistence, and solutions and opportunities for solving problems and advancing the world forward, making mindset shift and societal changes at scale through influential media such as TV shows, online platforms, and other impactful means through strategic work, operations, and campaigns.